Katsuki Bakugou X-Reader, Chapter 6. After the rest of the rigorous testing, which everyone did well in their own ways, it was finally over. "Alright, time to give you your results," Mr. Aizawa told the class after they had gathered. "I've ranked you all from the best to worst. You probably have a good idea of your standing already. I'll pull up the whole list. It's not worth going over each individual score." Mr. Aizawa pulled up the scores, showing who had done the best. Wayan grimaced as she saw that she had gotten third place in the class, right below Shoto Todoroki and right above Katsuki Bakugou. "Fantastic. I'll never hear the end of this," Wayan thought as she saw the score. "What's wrong?" a calm voice asked. "You placed in the top 3. Shouldn't you be happy?" Wayan looked over, seeing the guy who had placed above her, Shoto Todoroki. "I am happy. It's just the person below me is not going to be happy," Wayan exclaimed, pointing to a red-faced Bakugou. "He doesn't like to lose." "I'm sure it will be fine," Todoroki told her, his somewhat stoic and calm expression not changing whatsoever. "I'm Shoto Todoroki, by the way." "Wayan Allen." "Wayan!" an angry voice yelled. "Just great," Wayan mumbled as she turned to the human Pomeranian. "Yes, Katsuki, you placed above me again," he grunted through clenched teeth. "If you place that high, you better beat me when it comes to combat." "Wait, what?" Wayan said, confused that he wasn't about to murder her right then and there. "This is the second time you've beaten me," he continued. "If you place higher than me, you better be better than me, or I'll just have to beat you to a pulp." "Nice to know you haven't changed," Wayan stated while rolling her eyes. "Clearly high school hasn't done much for you." "And I was lying, no one's going home," Mr. Aizawa said as he turned off the board, gaining the students' attention once again. "That was just a rational deception, to make sure you gave it your all on the tests," he said while smiling a rather creepy smile. "What?" the class yelled, shocked by this admittance. "I'm surprised the rest of you didn't figure that out," Yayorozu stated. "I guess I should have said something." After that, the class seemed to calm down. They began to talk amongst themselves, getting their nerves out as they were relieved no one would be sent home on the first day. "That was pretty nerve-wracking, huh?" Sato commented. "Nah, I'm always down for a challenge," Kirishima said while putting his fist up. Bakugou just huffed after seeing that Midoriya wasn't going home this time. "It's a good thing Izuku didn't get expelled, right?" Wayan asked Bakugou, turning to him after noticing his silent judgment. Bakugou just huffed off, not wanting to answer the question. Wayan sighed, shaking her head as she watched him leave her alone. "That's it, we're done for the day. Pick up a syllabus in the classroom. Read it over before tomorrow morning," Mr. Aizawa said as he walked away, leaving the students alone. As Wayan was leaving school, she felt a hand on her shoulder, causing her to immediately turn around. Her eyes faintly glowed as a reaction. "Gee, sorry, just don't blast me," Bakugou said once he saw Wayan's eyes. "Oh, it's just you. What's up?" she asked, fully turning towards him as she crossed her arms. "Why didn't you tell me about your quirk before UA or even when you first got it? We were so close when our quirks kicked in," he said as he rubbed his arms, speaking a lot quieter than normal. Wayan started not quite sure how to answer his rather complicated question. "Hey Wayan!" Uraraka yelled as she ran down the courtyard. "Why don't you come walk with Deku, Ida, and I?" "Sure, I'll be there in a minute," Wayan said, turning back to Bakugou. "Katsuki, I'll tell you when you're ready to understand." Then Wayan ran to catch up with the other three, leaving Bakugou there with his own thoughts. He was certainly confused by her statement, "when you're ready to understand." It was something that he'd ponder quiet a bit after their brief interaction. It was the next day and most likely a harder day based on the first day's events. But in the mornings, it was filled with boring normal classes. Wine was okay with it since she sat behind Bakugou and next to Midoriya. It's 3 rows of 7 desks. Then they would eat lunch in the main cafeteria. Wine didn't know where to sit since she could have sat with a group with Midoriya or she could have tried to sit with Bakugou. Wyan started walking away from the lunch line when Midoriya called out to her, "Hey Wyan, over here!" Wyan turned towards him, waving back and going to seat next to him while being across from Ida and Uraraka. "So what's up with you and Bakugou?" Ida asked as Wyan was taking a sip of water. Wyan snorted, pulling out a napkin to wipe away a little. She coughed as she asked him, "What do you mean?" "Well, clearly there's something between you. You seem to keep him in check during the school day and talk to him after," Ida pointed out, chopping his arms in the air slightly. "We're just old friends," Wyan told him, shrugging as she took another sip. "Yeah, you and Kachan seem to be hanging out more since we started UA," Midoriya added. "Yeah, and?" Wyan questioned. "Just because we talk sometimes doesn't mean there's more to the two of us." "Well, have you ever thought of him as more?" Uraraka further asked. Wyan then stopped, thinking for a moment. Did she think of him as more than just a friend? Then as she thought about all the time she really cared for him as more than just one of her friends, which resulted in her blushing a little. "Oh my god!" Uraraka exclaimed, a little shocked. "You do?" No, I don't," Wyan defended, taking a bite of white rice. "You're blushing," Midoriya pointed to her, brightening her cheeks. "I'm always pink," Wyan lied. "Well, this is going to be a problem," she thought. "He almost hates me. We can't possibly start something more if he always yelling at me, can we?" It soon became the afternoon, the first day of Hero Basic Training. "I am here," All Might announced as he entered the classroom, coming through the door like a hero. "I can't believe it's really All Might," Kaminari exclaimed with an excited look. "So he is a teacher. This year's gonna be totally awesome," Kirishima said as he pumped his fist up. "This is going to be interesting," Wyan commented in a hushed tone. "Why do you say that?" Midoriya asked, turning to Wyan. "Well, he's the #1 hero," Wyan reasoned, leaning her chin against her hand. "Why would he suddenly want to teach here?" "Well, he's an alumni here. Why wouldn't he?" "Sure, but why now?" Wyan further asked, looking towards All Might as he marched up to the podium. "Welcome to the most important class at UA High," All Might said as he stood at the hero's podium. "Think of it as a Heroing 101, as All Might explained some things about the course. It couldn't help but make Wyan think, why does he suddenly want to teach high schoolers? What changed in his game? "Today's lesson," All Might exclaimed as he held up a card that said "Battle" in red, "will pull no punches. Fight training," Bakugou grinned. "Real combat?" Midoriya asked, looking very clearly nervous. "Already?" Wyan followed up, straightening up her seat a little. "One of the keys of being a hero is looking good," All Might continued while pointing to the class's new outfits coming out. "These are the designs based on your quirk registration forms and the designs you requested before school started." The class looked insanely excited as getting their new costumes. Wyan looked over, getting slightly nervous at what her overall costume looked like. "Getting yourself suited up and then meet me at the training ground, Beta," All Might informed them as he walked out of the classroom. As the class grabbed their assigned costume cases and headed to the locker room to change, Wyan caught up with Bakugou, grabbing his shoulder. "You're gonna go all out on Izuku if you're against him, aren't you?" Wyan asked, looking more serious than she was in class. "Of course I am," Bakugou responded, looking irritated at the thought. "He's not quirkless, but he made me think he's so he could mock me this entire time." "I'm sure that's not the case," Wyan assured him, putting her hand on his arm. "Of course it is. Why would he hide it otherwise?" He practically yelled, getting out of Wyan's grip and turning to go to the locker room. As Wayan was pulling her light blue suit top over her head, Uraraka came over, asking, "You've really got it bad for Bakugou, don't you?" "What?" Wayan exclaimed, immediately pulling the shirt down the rest of the way. "No, I don't. What makes you say that?" "You stopped him in the hallway on the way here," Uraraka stated as she crossed her arms. "No one would do that willingly based on how he's acted." "Well, I have because I've known him for a long time," Wayan told her, trying her black combat boots. "You really gotta stop saying that I like him." Before Uraraka could respond, Wayan put on her goggles, pulling up her hair. "If you don't have hair long enough to do this, ignore this kind of sayings or roll with the punches," and walked out of the locker room, leaving her standing alone. On the way to the training ground, Wayan saw a familiar ash blonde puff of hair. She ran up to him, seeing a little bit of his costume. "Hey, Katsuki." "Dang," Wayan said as she saw his costume, noticing how accented his muscles were and grenade gauntlets. "You really went all out for this." "Wow. You don't like it?" Bakugou snarled slightly. "No, I do." Wayan shook her head. She pointed to the gauntlets, asking, "Why do you need those though?" "You'll see in the trial," Bakugou said, looking Wayan up and down. "You don't look terrible though." "Whoa, that's probably the nicest thing you've said to me," Wayan sarcastically responded, taking a step back as she was slightly surprised. "I thought the blue would go well with my powers." Wayan said this as she rubbed her arm. Her costume started with black combat boots, since she basically ran on force fields. Next with black shorts, complemented with knee-high light blue socks. Her top was a light blue sweatshirt looking top, with tight wrists and baggy arms slightly hugging her torso. She also had goggles. They had a mask vibe so she can see better through her sometimes thick force fields, since they can be bright and pigmented, which also forced her to put her hair up to she didn't forget, since it took up more energy to keep it out of her face. Originally, it came with black gloves, but Wayan had put those in her top pockets, knowing that it was easier to control with bare hands. "It looks fine," Bakugou stated as he began walking again. "We should go. Don't want to be late." "Right," Wayan nodded as she walked with him, trailing just slightly behind. Okay, this is chapter 6, and thank you for watching the chapter 5 even though it's trimmed, because I cannot upload it 20-minute plus, since it will definitely not load. It can only be until 15 when I try to record this, or 18. So thank you very much for watching this, and I hope you liked it. Okay, and if you wanted to subscribe and like to this channel, you can. And I'm also gonna inform you that I found in Wattpad, I was curious about Izuku Midoriya being a villain, since I read a lot of Katsuki, Bakugou, and Midoriya, like Midoriya ex-reader listener or YN, and I was thinking, is there a villain Deku? And I think I found the answer. And yes, there is a villain Deku. The title is Bad Apple in Wattpad, so I was interested in reading it and recording it. So I guess I'm gonna be making it if I have a free time. I wonder if I'm allowed to record tomorrow, so I was hoping to send 2 videos. I'll be also making a playlist of Katsuki, Bakugou, X-Reader, ISkylight, since I might make different stories in the future if you're interested in it, and I just wanted to share and sometimes support different authors from different stories that I like, if it helps them get more followers and help them create more great stories and amazing ones. So I hope you like this video, and